Why does balanced dog training work? That's today's question. And we all know there's lots of different methods of dog training out there. Some common ones you're going to hear about. You've got your positive only, remote collar, e-collar based trainers where all they do is e-collar, nothing else. That's going to fall under what's known as escape and avoidance training. Those are probably your common ones on both sides of the coin. Purely positive, then you got your escape and avoidance training, your e-collar trainers, your leash only trainers, no treats, no praise, none of that. Then you've got your balanced dog training. The main difference is dog trainers that are saying they're using one method, one thing, whether that's positive only, e-collar only, leash only, all those trainers, they're using one quadrant of operant conditioning, that's what they're claiming, while the balanced trainer is using 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. So it basically opens up your options of how you're going to handle different situations and build up dog behavior long term as a balanced dog trainer, which is critical. Everyone knows that there's no one dog that's the same as another dog. Every single dog's an individual, just like we as people are individual. And we as people, we need different ideologies and methods in helping us learn things. So real quickly to go through the operant conditioning quadrants with you, you've got positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. Unfortunately, B.F. Skinner, when he was coming up with this, he used some terms that seem kind of scary, like he used positive, negative, reinforcement, punishment. Basically, positive means you're adding something. It's not an emotional term in operant conditioning. Negative means you're removing something. It's not an emotional term in operant conditioning. Then you got reinforcement, which means behaviors are more likely to occur. Then you have punishment, which means behaviors are less likely to occur. That's the quick and easy definitions. So a balanced dog trainer is using all 4 of those quadrants. So let's say the positive only trainer, they say, I'm positive only. Our assumption is that they mean positive reinforcement. That's the only thing they're doing, because usually the positive only trainer is saying they don't do any type of correction to the dog or accountability to the dog. Corrections and accountability fall under positive punishment. So we assume that they mean positive reinforcement when they say positive only. Now the problem with that is different dogs, different personalities. You can't just reward a dog their entire life and expect them to maintain a behavior, keep doing a behavior, never disobey you, okay? If a positive only trainer ever yells at a dog, withholds food from a dog, holds the dog back from something, squirts a dog in the face with a water bottle or something, those all start entering other quadrants of operant conditioning, so they're already getting out of positive only, okay? So I'm gonna stop talking about positive only trainers. The escape and avoidance trainers, your e-collar only trainers, your leash only trainers, they're also limited in what they're doing because they're only using aversives on a dog. So they're not gonna have a proper relationship with the dog to start. What they're gonna do is they're basically gonna start correcting a dog, whether that's with an e-collar or a leash, and they're gonna wait until that dog does something that they're looking for, like a sit, for example, then they'll stop correcting the dog. So they're gonna be using 2 quadrants primarily, which are gonna be negative reinforcement and positive punishment. I'm not gonna go into crazy detail on that. I just wanna give you a brief overview on it, but that's what they're doing. So a balanced dog trainer, why is a balanced dog trainer the best? Because they're in the best of both worlds. A balanced dog trainer typically, ideally, is gonna start off with positive reinforcement, that quadrant. And they're gonna be using another quadrant called negative punishment, which is essentially just holding back something that a dog wants. So if I'm teaching a dog, I'm training a dog, and I've got food that I'm training the dog with, positive reinforcement, I'm giving the dog food for doing things that we like. Negative punishment, the dog, I'm trying to teach it how to sit, for example, or to stop jumping on me, and I take that piece of food, I put it behind my back. That's negative punishment. I'm just withholding that food from the dog until they do what I want, or what is desirable in this case, and then I bring that food back out, I give it to them. So you can fluctuate between these quadrants very rapidly within seconds of each other. So in the dog jumping on me example, I put the food behind my back, that dog stops jumping, it gets its paws on the ground, all 4 paws. I say good, I bring my food out again, I give it to the dog. I just went from negative punishment to positive reinforcement very rapidly as soon as that behavior was achieved. So that's just an overall example, but a balanced trainer, they've got basically unlimited resources or unlimited critical development to help that dog achieve what it needs to achieve, which is what you need, because you've got insecure dogs, you've got anxious dogs, you've got dominant dogs, you've got everything in between. And each one of those personality trait types are gonna need little adjustments in overall development as time goes on. Also, a real balanced trainer that's really good at balanced dog training, they're gonna be able to fluctuate between those operants. They're gonna be able to think outside the box. A positive only trainer, for example, might not be able to achieve certain behaviors, and they'll say something like, this dog just is not suitable for this, or this dog just can't do this. Not true, because a balance trainer could take that same dog, and because they don't have any restrictions on how they operate or restrictions in their methodology, they can think outside the box, and they're like, okay, let me try this with the dog, see if the dog likes this. Let me try this with the dog, see if the dog's able to work with this. Once they find what works for that dog, they can then achieve that dog and owner goal with the dog through the full spectrum of learning theory and conditioning that's available in a balanced dog trainer, okay? You know, like an e-collar trainer, for example, they can also say things like, this dog just can't do this. This dog just can't do that because of X, Y, they just won't respond. They won't do this, they won't do that. Your dog's not able to do X, Y, Z. You don't really know that because, again, you're restricting yourself to very tight methodologies in dog training when you have a whole laundry list of things you can experiment with, troubleshoot with, try out with your dog to achieve your goals. So again, this is where balanced dog training wins. And ideally, as we're training a dog, we start off, we're building up behaviors foundationally, lots of rewardings going on, lots of good training, lots of engagement. As time goes on, we increase our criteria for that behavior for that dog to achieve what it desires. Let's just say it's a food reward, for example. So we're increasing our criteria as time goes on. Now, once we know that the dog has mastered certain skill sets or behaviors, at that point we can start to implement accountability for disobedience. Just like, you know, you as a human, you can't go to a grocery store and just start taking money out the cash register. That's stealing. You're going to go to jail for that. Same thing in the dog world. Obviously, dogs can't reason like people, so we can't do these types of similar things. We have to communicate to them in their own language in a way they understand. That's where our accountability comes in. So we teach them accountability with a leash correction, which is going to, you know, instinctually simulate like a dog correcting another dog, but it's a human correcting a dog through a medium that both understand, which is that leash and collar. So, you know, let's say, for example, we're teaching the dog something, we've taught the dog, okay, we know the dog understands this thing. Let's just say it's a sit behavior, for example. It could be anything, but let's just take a sit behavior, and we ask the dog to sit. We know they know how to sit because we took all of our time to build that up foundationally through our food rewards, through our luring, through our positive reinforcement, through our negative punishment. And now's the time, okay, now we're expecting this behavior. The dog doesn't do the behavior. We say no, we give a tug and release on the leash, and then as we're teaching this, we're gonna repeat that behavior. The dog does it, we say good, we give them a reward. So it's not like we're just, you know, correcting them, holding them accountable unfairly. We have to teach everything to the dog. So we teach this to the dog, we teach them what a correction is, how to respond to it, what to do. Once they understand that, we can start fading out the rewards from that as well. Then we can teach them about the remote collar, which just is your invisible leash. It allows you to communicate with your dog at a distance without having the leash on the dog. Let the dog be a dog. Let the dog have a great life, right? Hanging out on the hiking trail, hanging out at the beach. Doesn't have to be on a leash, but if something happens, let's say you're hiking down a trail, there's a rattlesnake. That's obviously dangerous. That could kill your dog. If you have no control over your dog in that situation, you have no way to communicate to your dog when they're amped up because there's a rattlesnake, your dog could die. We don't want that, right? So the remote collar helps us in that situation because if we tell our dog to come and we've taught them how to come on command, we've taught them what to do, we've taught them what happens if they don't do that. So now we're in that what I call oh shit scenario, that emergency scenario. We got the rattlesnake on the trail, our dog's approaching it. We say come, our dog's not coming because that snake is just so distracting to them. We can say no, we can give a communication correction on that remote collar. That dog feels that, they know what to do, they turn around, they come back, now our dog's safe. Same thing with, you know, this happens in neighborhoods, unfortunately. People, they open their front door, dog rushes out the door, running down to the street, cars coming, boom, right? Nobody wants to be in that situation. So this again is where our remote collar comes into play. And because we've used all of our abilities in learning theory, operant conditioning, classical conditioning, all this stuff, we have no restrictions on how we train. We're not stuck in positive only. We're not stuck in e-collar only. We're not stuck in leash only, all right? In this situation, our dog starts moving to the street. We say come. They don't come because maybe they were chasing a squirrel across the street. We say no. We give a correction communication on our remote collar. Dog turns around. They're back to us. They're safe. Nothing happened. We're good to go. Balanced dog training really gives you the full spectrum of life with your dog. But it does take time. It does take time to build everything up with balanced dog training the right way. You're going to be able to communicate with your dog. Yes, you're gonna hold your dog accountable. Yes, you're going to reward your dog. You're gonna do all that. So don't restrict yourself with a certain ideology of dog training. You wanna make sure that when you're training your dog, when you're working with your dog, you have no restrictions, no limitations on what you're able to do. You wanna be able to think outside the box, critically think, and do what works best for your dog. I hope I didn't go into too much scientific detail in this video. If you guys like the sciencey stuff, let me know. We can make a more in-depth sciencey video, but just trying to give you a broad understanding of why balanced dog training is better. All right, so let us know in the comments what you think. Give us your feedback as always. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.